Welcome to the Leadership School podcast. I'm your host, leadership and self-care coach, Kyla Cofer. Here at the Leadership School, you'll hear leaders from around the world sharing their stories and expertise on how to lead with balance and integrity. Our goal? Teach you how to be an extraordinary leader. Welcome back to Leadership School, my friends and leaders. Thanks so much for joining me here. Hey, I have a quick request for you. As you're listening, I know that you're thinking about, hey, it'd be really helpful if she talked about this, or I feel like maybe they didn't talk about this as much as I would have liked, or I might still feel confused about this topic. I'd love to hear from you. It really makes my day when I hear from people and listeners who tell me about their experience listening to the podcast. My goal is to bring you amazing, helpful, relevant content. So it helps to hear from you on things that would be more helpful, I guess is the word. So if you could do me a favor and sometime today, shoot me an email to info@lifecoachkyla.com. That's info@lifecoachkyla.com. And just tell me what your experience is of listening to this podcast. Tell me your favorite episode. And tell me something that's really been a challenge for you recently. I would love to bring in a guest that could address that challenge. I've done that several times when people have requested guests, and I've brought in those topics, and some of those have been the best episodes. So what are your challenges that you're experiencing? And we'll talk about them here. I want you to not feel alone in your leadership. Leadership can feel really lonely sometimes, but there's no reason to be alone. There are so many people, not just experts, but people in your community who really want to show up and support you. So that's what we're doing here. We're trying to show up and support you, help you on this leadership journey, and bring you some very specific, tangible things that can just help you really go the distance of where you're wanting to go. When we talk about leadership goals, we talk about life goals, personal development goals. It's helpful to see where you want to go, and then you can kind of go back and think, what are the steps that it's going to take to get there? Well, I remember when I was training for half marathons, I've done 5 or 6 half marathons. And when we're training for it, you come up with a training plan. You don't just wake up in the morning and go, hey, today I'm going to go run 13.2 miles. No. You probably wouldn't make it unless you are, an avid runner and super fit. And that's just kind of who you are. But for a couch potato, it would be really tough to just get up and go run 13.2 miles. No, you do it in increments. So you come up with a training plan. I remember my very first one, I joined a group and they did the whole plan for us. I didn't even have to think about it, but I learned from them. So the first day we ran 3 miles. And it was just a 3-mile run, which actually felt really, really hard because I had never run 3 miles before. But we showed up and we did it anyways. And then the next week we ran 4 miles and we thought, oh my gosh, I've never run 3 miles before. And now they're asking me to run 4, but there was a plan, there was a route, and I wasn't running alone. Had I just gone by myself and decided I was going to do this training program and I was going to show up and run 3 miles, then I was going to run 4 miles the next week, I probably would have given up at 2 and gone, this is too hard. There's no way I'm going to make it. But when you went with a group of people, not only do you kind of get this competitive mode in your mind of, well, they can do it, I can do it too, and I can't let them finish and not me finish. You kind of have this camaraderie of, hey, I'm really struggling right now. This is really hard. And the other person next to you goes, yeah, but you can do it. Just another half a mile. You got this. And when they're struggling, you do the same thing for them. Camaraderie is really, really important, which is actually what I wanted to talk about today. But let's go back and think more about, okay, their plan. So we did 3 miles, then 4 miles. Then on week 3, we actually went back and just ran 3 miles again. And then this is what this did in our mind. It shifted this perspective in our mind. And we thought, oh, well, I've done this before. I can do it again. Last week we ran 4 and this week we only have to run 3. So that's way easier than last time. I got this. No problem. But then the next week we ran 5. And then the week after that, it was 3.5. And so we kept doing this thing in our mind. Oh, we're just going to increase it by just 1 mile. We can do 1 mile more. That's no problem. And then the week after we do 3.5. I've already done 3.5 miles before. I've done it twice now. I've got this. No problem. And that whole time, we're getting just a little bit stronger as we go. Our bodies are more capable of handling things because we've done it before and we've built up that strength. We've built up that endurance. We've built up that mental stamina, and we have the people along the road with us. Okay, so what does marathon training have to do? What does this have to do with leadership and your leadership skills and growth? Well, complete the metaphor. Let's think through it. You've got a really tough project coming up. What skills have you learned in the past that you can draw from to get through this? What's the end goal that you have? And what are the things that will get you in place to get there? What are the micro steps that are going to get you to that final goal of the completed task? In college, I remember having big papers, and I was a huge procrastinator. So I'd love to wait till the last minute to do your papers. But if you have these big papers, and if you follow all of the assignments along through the whole semester, you'll have all the things that you need to write this big paper. And you will have slowly put together all these steps. You'll have done some research. You'll have your notes. You'll have note cards. You'll have the books that you want to cite. You'll have all these things put together, little increments at a time. And then when you get to the big paper day, here you have everything that you need, and you just put it all together, and it makes it way easier. Every project is like this. It's what do I need to get to what's the end game, and what are the little steps that I can break it up into to get there. But remember, that's not what I wanted to talk about today. What I wanted to talk about was the people that we're bringing along with us who are cheering us on, because the people that we have in our lives matter, especially in leadership positions. Because if you are leading a group of people and you don't have your backup team, you don't have people cheering you on, you don't have people that you can turn to, you're going to really struggle. And the group of people that you're leading are going to feel it, they're going to know it, and you're going to make bad decisions. If you do not have people in your life that can do this kind of support for you, it's time to find them. You are responsible for looking for these people and finding your backup team. And building relationships is not easy. It's easy when you're a kid. When you go to your school and you've got relationships in your classroom, you have these natural spaces that you interact with, activities, events, whatever. And then as an adult, as you grow older, it gets a little bit more difficult because some of those natural spaces don't exist anymore. And you have to be the person to go out and find them, find things that you can all engage in, that, oh, this person likes this, things we have in common. It's a video game meetup group. We all like these same video games. So we're going to meet up and play these. Or this is a hiking group. We're going to go hike and then I'll get to know each other. A running group, how I met people. One of my really dear friends came from my running group. First day we met and we stayed friends for a decade. So finding places where you can meet people, the people that you need, that support team in your life, they are there and they exist. And you do have a responsibility to find them and to pull these people into your life, because even coaches need coaches. Leaders need leaders. We all need a team of people in our life. And so when you're bringing people along into your compelling story, whatever that means for you, if it's your family, if it's your job, usually in leadership, we talk about jobs just because most of us have careers. We have to pay our bills. So we work to do that. And you get into leadership roles through your job or through a volunteer opportunity too. So when you're doing those things, if you run into something that's tough and you don't have the people around you, you're going to not feel as confident in your decision making. You're not going to feel as sure of yourself. And that translates over to the people that you're leading. People will feel that in you. They'll feel that lack of confidence, that lack of surety. So how do we know that we are trusting the right people to speak into our lives? Finding our mentors. How do we know that our mentor is trustworthy? How do we know that this new friend that we've just made is someone to listen to? Trust takes time. It takes time to build and develop. If you think that, hey, I just met this person on my walk today and now I'm going to share them my whole life story and we're going to be best friends forever, that might happen. Greater stories have happened, but that's not going to happen in one day. You develop it slowly through, hey, we're going to go out for coffee. Hey, I'm doing a movie night. Why don't you come? Hey, we're doing a game night. Hey, we're all going to a baseball game. Why don't you come? Inviting people into our life to share space with us and to share these stories with us. That is how we build relationships, and that's how we build trust, and that's how we build our teams. The people who we can go through life with and who we can trust to help us when things get really, really tough. Sometimes those relationships end up not being trustworthy. Sometimes people are going to fail us. You're going to be failed by the people in your life. And what does it look like when that happens? When someone in your company that you trusted to do a task, they fail, do you reject that person completely? It's going to depend. You're going to have to learn and trust your own instincts, intuition, find the compassion and empathy that you have, and really look through, okay, what really happened in this situation? What really is going on here? Is this my failure as a leader, as a friend, as a colleague, as someone who's taking this responsibility? What responsibility do I have in a situation? What responsibility do I have in this relationship? It's really important that we always take ownership of our part and our role in any relationship, in any leadership task, in role that we consider those are relationships. It's really important that we realize what our roles and responsibilities are in any relationship. And just to remember, though, that we're there to support other people on their journeys too. So if something isn't going well, if your relationship isn't going well, ask yourself. It's always about asking questions, right? Coaches, we always ask questions, lots and lots of questions. Leadership school, it's all about what questions are we asking? When we're looking for answers, it's never really about the answers. It's always about the questions. So what can I do to better improve this relationship? What can I do to better improve this situation? What responsibilities do I have? What can I bring to the table? Sometimes you're going to have to make a hard decision. This relationship, it's no longer working for me. Thank you for being a mentor for me, but it's not really working. I've had some relationships recently where I realized, oh, this person's actually just using me. They don't really want to be friends with me. They really don't want to be in community with me. They just want what I can offer them. That's fine. I'm here to show up and help and serve in whatever way that I can, but it's helpful to know that. To know what kind of relationship am I in? Is this where there's back and forth? Is this something that we can both trust and rely on the other person? When it's someone who's just coming to you and looking to you, your job might be, and your role in that relationship might be the servant, the person who shows up, who helps, who offers what you can. And it might not be a friendship or a back and forth, but you have to have those back and forth relationships in your life if you're going to be successful. When I say successful, I mean if you're going to meet whatever goals that you have for yourself. Success looks different for everybody. This doesn't mean that you are going to achieve somebody else's goal. It's does it mean to you? And what kinds of relationships do you need to have to do that? But remember, what is your role? So if there are people who are feeding into you, you have to make sure that you are also doing the work and doing your part. Nobody wants to be in a group project with somebody who is not doing any of the work, but getting all the credit. You need to show up. If somebody is offering time, experience, wisdom, expertise to mentor you, to give you advice, wisdom, friendship, employment, your job is to always do your part and to feed into their lives as well. There's got to be give and take. There's got to be back and forth. But you always have to have people in your corner, and you always have to be in somebody else's corner. Hopefully, those can always be the same people. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes you're going to show up for somebody and they're never once going to show up for you. And that is going to be okay, as long as you know that that's the relationship that you're in. Sometimes someone's going to show up for you over and over and over again, and you're never once going to show up for that other person. Well, sometimes that's okay too. Not always. And I would say keep those types of relationships to a minimum. If someone is showing up for you, you need to return the favor. You need to give them the respect, the dignity that they deserve for giving you what you need when you need it. That might even be passing it along to somebody else. I cannot tell you the number of people who have invested in my life. Dozens and dozens and dozens of people. I've thought about, when I write my book, that it's going to be a list of acknowledgments, all the people who have invested in my life. Man, that list is going to be so long. So many people have invested in my life, and there is no way that I can return all of that. And a lot of those people are not going to expect that. Thank you to all of you. I am so, so, so grateful. We have to have those people in our life to succeed. And the reason those people were able to invest in me is because others invested in them. And I am going to invest in you. I am going to invest in the people around me. I am showing up and doing that for other people. And so you're going to show up and do that for other people too. Who are you investing in? Who are you putting time and effort and energy into in a relationship? It is extremely important that you are always giving and that you are always taking, that it goes both ways. Don't be the person who is always giving. You have to have things coming back in. coming back in. If you're always that person that's giving, you're not going to have the relationships that you need in your life to really be successful as a leader. But if you're always the person that's taking, you're not going to be successful in your goals as a leader, because at some point, people are going to stop giving to you. It's just kind of the math. If you only take, people aren't going to want to give. Being in a relationship, having people in your team is extremely important. Having a plan and a way to get to your goals is crucial. Both of these things have to happen, have to work together for you to be the kind of leader that you want to be in the way that you want to show up. Thank you for joining me on this journey to grow in our leadership. If you enjoyed this episode, you've got to check out the leadership and self-care coaching programs on my website at kylacofer.com. Let's change the world together.